Thank you very much for coming and joining me this morning on the last day of the show. We are going to be talking this morning about something that's probably not going to be a big revelation to any of you guys. You've heard it before, but it's very important, I think, to sit back and think about one extremely core concept on a regular basis, because this is a rapidly changing market and you need to find your place in it. So we're going to talk about being interesting. I want to start the talk by telling actually a short story about one of the things that we've sort of fallen into over the past year. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, that people find sort of interesting about what it is my company has been doing over the past year. You guys may have heard me talk about PIPA and SOPA over the past couple of few months. I've been doing a lot of public policy advocacy on the Hill on behalf of the industry. We put together a group called Safe Hosting Coalition, and we're putting together an association. I'm not going to talk a ton about that tonight, but I actually encourage you guys to come to the keynote tonight at 4, where we're going to tell a lot more of the stories there and have a great discussion about the importance of defending our industry on Capitol Hill. But I sort of fell into that by accident because one morning I woke up and a client who I had a relationship with, he had a hip hop blog called onsmash.com, and he said, my website is down and your guys can't help me. I said, well, what do you mean? Is the web server down? He's like, no, the government took the website. What do you mean? And so we went to onsmash.com, and it has this big Immigrations and Customs Enforcement logo on it. And it says, domain seized by Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. I said, oh my God, can they do that? And I'm like, well, they did. And it was the start of me saying, well, who's out there doing something about this? And the answer was really nobody from our industry. So we tried to, we got a passion behind this because we cared about our customers and because we really care about this industry. So we started doing something that not a whole lot of people at the time were talking about. And here's the thing, and this is something I won't talk about anybody outside of this room. People found it interesting. Traffic did go up to the website. That wasn't at all the intention, but there are 30,000 web hosts out there. And, it's hard to get noticed. A lot of people noticed us because of that, and it was just following a passion. So I wanted to set that story, and I'll come back to OnSmash in a little bit. But the core concept of this talk is to be successful in this changing industry, find a way to follow your passions and find a way to be interesting, because really what being small feels like is like this. See, on a bad day when I'm not feeling too good about myself and what it is we're doing, that's what Amazon feels like to me. Big business is coming in and doing things to changing the fabric of this industry in a big ways. And you're bound to get a little scared. Am I going to have a job tomorrow? Is my company going to be around? Are we going to continue to be able to grow and thrive? Or are we going to get trounced by somebody who's going to be able to come in here and do way more for way less? Guys like Amazon in the market make you feel like this no matter how big you are. But even on a good day, I sometimes feel like one of these 30,000 fish swimming in a sea, trying to differentiate each other. Even without the consolidating market, it's very tough to get noticed. There are some good things that we have to acknowledge, though. Most customers don't understand hosting well enough to distinguish between large and small hosts, cloud and non-cloud hosts, shared and managed hosts. They don't know enough about our market. We live it every day. We come to these conferences. We learn all this stuff. They read a thread on WHT and try to make up their mind about where it is they're going to host. And so you get a lot of this. For me, it's down to Amazon, Rackspace, SoftLayer, and someplace you've never heard of. And I think it's amazing that we have an industry where every day I meet a host or learn about a host that I've never heard of. I think that's fantastic. They say, well, Amazon, Rackspace, SoftLayer, TinyHost, which one's the cheapest? That's a problem because in a heavily consolidating market, you have price coming down and down and down. And so, you know, you have a problem with visibility, but you also have a problem with, you know, the market basically dictating the price. So you probably can't beat the big guys on price. You know, McDonald's sells 2 Big Macs for $1. Amazon can beat you on mass market storage on price. They may not be doing it now, so you can say, well, you know what, actually I sell stuff for less than Amazon right now. But they can. They can beat you. And when they're ready to beat you on price, because they want to take up the part of the market that's just price focused, they're going to do it. So you probably can't beat the big guys on price in the long run. And you can't beat the big guys on perceived quality of service, frankly, because they can spend a lot of money on marketing and they can market away a lot of people's fears about stuff. The more you hear about something, the more it's in the cultural zeitgeist, the more they say, well, you know what? If they're out there everywhere, maybe I can trust them. And you almost certainly can't beat them in terms of ad spend and mass awareness. But you can be more responsive than the big guys, more nimble than the big guys, more market targeted than the big guys, and you can be, this is a very important one because a lot of people talk about those things, but you can be more interesting than them. So, big guy says that they're big market differentiators. They sell cloud, they sell hosting, VPS. They're low cost, they're dedicated, 24/7, 365. They offer free migration, high uptime. And people see that out there. You offer the same stuff. I get you down in the corner offering the same types of things. You don't have the market penetration. Again, we go back to that slide where it's just 30,000 fish in an ocean. How do you get noticed? People think that the big guys, they're secure, proven, safe, fault-tolerant, pedigreed, strong, well-resourced, trustworthy. They may not be. They may have, you know, half the uptime you guys have, and you guys may have much better service, but people have heard of them. They haven't heard of you. So you don't have that going for you when you're stepping up to the plate, and you've got everything to prove. And they don't. Well, we can't outspend them, and your products aren't really very different from an infrastructural standpoint. Now, I'm not talking about the services that you offer or your focus on the market, just talking about the raw infrastructure that you provide. It's not that much different than the big guys, and people think at best that you're offering the same type and quality of service as the big guys, even if that's not true. The answer is, be interesting. Be this. Not this. Slides of some people that have focused on the different aspects of the market, right? So one of the things that you can do is pick a subset of the hosting marketplace and be the HSP for that community. I love, you know, I don't know if the guys have, my friends at Firehose are here in the room, but I love the fact that they,
What's HSP?
hosting service provider. Yeah. I love the fact that those guys narrowly focus on a small target of the market, and they happily say, the guys at Firehouse, they happily say, if this isn't what you're looking for, go see somebody else. The fact of the matter is that there aren't nearly enough people in our industry right now who know exactly what kind of customer that they're trying to target, who go out there and build relationships with specifically those people and are willing to say, if that's not the type of thing that you're looking for, go to somebody else. We tend to try to be very accommodating in this industry and say, you know what? We can probably make that work for you. Yeah, you know what? That's not really our business model, but let me talk to my product development guys. Let me see what we can work out. And what you end up doing in that type of situation is continually losing what makes you interesting, what makes you differentiated, by pulling it back to being far less focused. I mean, the guys at Firehouse are an example of many people that have laser focus on a specific segment of the industry and they don't waver from it. It's better to have 90% of a loyal small community than 2% of a fickle huge one. You could be the number one hosting provider to horse breeders or basket weavers. Who knows what kind of a market there is there, but if you completely focus on that and you make yourself interesting to them, especially if you have a real passion for horse breeding or basket weaving, that's fantastic. Then you go in and you basically let your DNA rub off on your company, and you go out there and you spread your love for their industry, combining it with your industry, and you go out there and you make a killing on it. Do a lot better being focused on a target market. I say take a leadership position in something that reinforces your brand, whether or not it has anything to do with hosting. I go back to the story of the stuff that we were doing in SOPA with Pippa. My God, did that have nothing to do with our desire to do something in the market or to get more clients. But it was something that people took an interest in because it was a passion of mine and a passion of the management team there at ServInt. And we let it shine through because what you do to be successful is to put your personality and your interests into your company so that you have an identity. With 30,000 companies out there, the bottom line is you need an identity. And in order to get one, you need to be targeted. I think everybody in the world can be the best in the world at something. But you need to focus on one small thing and try to be that. So one way you can do that is to partner with technology companies that are young, smart, and doing amazing things. We actually partnered with a company called Gelastic, in part because those of us in my company are really passionate about platform as a service. I think PaaS really is the future, and as time increases, we want to be working with companies that have our vision for how hosting is heading. So I'm excited to work with guys like Gelastic. Look for people that have your shared vision of how the internet is going and how you want it to work and track them down. That's one way to differentiate yourself and be interesting. The other is to trust your instincts. I wanted to fight for OnSmash, wanted to fight against Pippa and SOPA because it was something that was passionate to me. I fell in love with Gelastic the first time that I met them. I don't want this to be about me. Everybody has something that they're passionate about. Trust your instincts, follow it, say, I can make this a part of my business, I can make this a part of my identity. And most of all, have the courage to be yourself. Again, if you want to be if you're really into Legos and you want to go and be the best person to host Lego blogs in the world, you're going to be a real success at it if you focus specifically on that. If that's part of your DNA, own it, push it forward. So I'm going to go back to the story of OnSmash because I want to tell you a little how that story ended. A few months later, he ended up getting his domain back from the federal government. There was really no grounds for them to have taken it away. It was egregious. But he's not using onsmash.com because a couple of days after they took his domain away, he put up a new domain with the same content and the same stuff called freeonsmash.com. And basically rebranded it, embracing the identity of somebody who was being attempted to be taken down by the government. And it's made him more popular than ever because he took his circumstances, put them into his business, and made it that much more interesting. So take an example from OnSmash and look for ways to do that in your business. Look for the ways to take what happens in your life and put it into your business. So the next thing that I want to do is actually see if I can get some people out here in the audience to talk about some experiences that you guys have had, some ways that you guys have approached your businesses in a way to differentiate them and make them interesting. I'd love it if anybody would get up and tell some of their stories for a minute or two. Richard, do you want to start?
I've known Christian for 17 years now, 18 years, and our businesses have gone very separate ways. One of the things that I've done is my business plan was to stay a small company. In a world where companies are trying to go larger, we specifically decided to stay smaller. To do that, we didn't want to just stay with small clients.
First try. I do. I tapped it. Sorry.
Now it's on.
Okay.
Now it's on, really on.
So anyway, so we found this marketplace within the nonprofit association and groups, and it turns out to be a very loyal marketplace. They're wed to each other. They do what one does, others do. And as a host, it was strictly focusing on them and not trying to grow into the shared marketplace or try and go into a lot more for-profit and everything. They saw that we were really attentive to their needs, and for that matter, they became our own marketing department. So I was speaking at the WHT booth the other day when we were talking, and a host said, how do I defend myself against a flame? Somebody gets on and says, he didn't give me the good price, so I think he's a jerk, and I'll never go to blankhost.com ever again because they're just that kind of person. And he said, first thing I want to do is flame back, et cetera, et cetera. And what tended to happen for me, because I have this loyal basis, I don't even have to jump on. My clients will jump on and support me there. So as the revenues were growing from this stream, you get diamonds in your eyes and you think, well, let's just continue to grow and let's take capital and let's do all these things. And we kind of felt like that would be an injustice to the clients that we were serving because, like Christian was saying, the passion that we have is for these organizations to watch them go from small nonprofits, some of them to large nonprofits, or large nonprofits to being very successful large nonprofits, raising money through their web or raising awareness through their campaigns, whatever else. And we felt that by going a little bit different direction, it might sell them short of what we were already doing for them. And that decision to stay small, that decision to still be a 4-person operation after 12 years in business has led us to being pretty much a sole provider of services for many of our nonprofit clients and probably one of their most trusted partners. So, I walk around here and I see people that I've seen for 17 to 12, to 5 years, and everybody says, gosh, I thought you would have sold by now. I thought you would have grown to sizes of ServInt. I thought you would have, been a here and there. And by design, we've stayed where we are, and it's been a great ride. I've enjoyed a lot of my family time. I'm able to balance it out there. But because we have that same culture as some of these nonprofits to try and do as much as we can with as little as possible, et cetera, and continue to go that way, it's worked out pretty successfully.
Anybody else who is doing what they want to do, passionate about a small segment of the market and wants to talk about that? Or even if you're not, just if you have a real interest. I met somebody last night who doesn't normally come to these HostingCon shows, and the guy is here in Boston. He's got 80 Minecraft servers. He's a huge Minecraft fan, and he built a big community and built big business around it just because it was something that he was passionate about himself. Had a lot of friends, and one thing snowballed into another, and he turned that into his business focus. That is extremely impressive to me. So those are the types of things that I find very interesting and ways to differentiate people within the market. Does anybody else have a story that they'd like to share, or even a hobby you can tell us about? Something that you haven't figured out how to incorporate into what it is you do on a daily basis.
Thanks.
Sure.
Well, I don't want to talk about myself because I'm afraid I'll just start sounding like a commercial. So what I want to say though is, Christian, you're the CEO of ServInt, right? And really, it's like your presentation here seems like it might come from the marketing department. So what I'm taking away is that we have a mix here of technologists and admins and a lot of business owners, right? And I think that what I found is that your principles here apply to us personally as well as, and a lot of the business owners here came up out of being, web admins or sysads or whatever, and you built your own small company. But take this and apply it personally because, you have to stand out. You have to, you can't just be the sysad, clicking away on the keyboard in the back, do things that are cool and do things that get attention and apply these same principles personally as you figured out, because you're, like I said, you're, technically oriented, but you come to us with marketing. And we as technologists have to be willing to grasp onto that marketing aspect. So,
I think you're absolutely right. Although, one of the things that I will say is that I feel as though what I'm sort of saying is that the best way to market is to project out. You need to look in at who it is you want to be and what it is you want to accomplish and what kind of a person you are. There's so many good examples in this industry of companies that do that and have a personality around who they are and what they are. Like, an example that you guys probably all know, Doug and the guys from A Small Orange. They're another example of a company. I already talked about how much I like Firehouse. Those guys, have a personality, and if you meet them, it reflects who they are. The small community focus that they project in their marketing comes directly from those individuals. And so there are lots of people that get it, and it's a real differentiator, but it's not a differentiator to a mass market. It's not something that's going to catch everybody in the world, but that's not the point. The point is to find, to find your target market by finding who you want to be. If anybody else wants to tell their story? Oh, that's not fair, you're ServInt.
Thanks. So I actually am a marketing guy. But one of the things I wanted to impress on people here is that one of the easiest and most effective ways that you can, as Christian says, project your identity is to go local, like literally go geographic. There's a guy, and I hope he's here actually, and I've seen him here at the show the last couple of days, and he's wearing this great t-shirt, and it says on the back, there's this big map of Maine, and his company is, that's the guy. So this guy's company is called Maine Hosting Solutions, and I've been watching him walk around going, that's brilliant. It's like, if I was in Maine, which I kind of wish I was, if I was in Maine and I had a company that needed hosting and Maine Hosting Solutions, assuming that you guys have a good reputation, which I assume you do, why would I go with Amazon if the Mainer is like up the road, and everybody lives somewhere and everybody can claim allegiance to a particular geographic region. And so not that being the Mainer hosting company is, a lesser choice, but if you don't have some other specific sort of corporate identity, like we're the hosting service provider to the car dealership community, you can say, hey, I'm the hosting service provider for Western Nebraska. That's who I am. Are you in Western Nebraska? Because if you are, you're my client, and I can serve you better than anybody else. And just one more point I wanted to make is that kind of stickiness, when somebody says, I host with horsebreederhosting.com because I'm a horse breeder, that's like, it's almost impossible to dislodge those people because they believe, hopefully correctly, that you understand them better and their particular problems. You've seen the particular kinds of issues that those companies face over and over again. And stickiness is so important, especially as this industry becomes more and more commoditized. So that was just my response.
Yeah, I think.
Just a point of clarification, they're referred to as maniacs.
Nice.
Hey, I'd use that if I were you.
Hi, my name is Joe Pruitt. A lot of my stuff is probably not going to apply to everybody here. We're a full-service ISP. We've been around since dinosaurs roamed the earth. Our basic concept, we're Portland, Oregon, which has a very much buy local ethos throughout everything that exists. But our concept has been one neck to strangle. So we'll provide your internet connection, we'll support your PCs at your office, we'll do your web hosting, we'll do your backups. When something goes wrong, kill us. There's no finger pointing involved. Unfortunately, all the telcos, Comcast, et cetera, are making it much, much harder for us to do that, provide the internet connection parts. Some of it's falling by the wayside, but we're kind of moving into what we're calling the virtual CIO. That, you're a small company, you need IT, but you can't afford it, you don't even understand it. We'll come in, we'll help you figure this stuff out. If that's Amazon, great. If you want to use our hosting facility, great. We'll colo your box, we'll help you hook up Comcast, whatever it is, but we try to provide the whole piece, all the little pieces that are involved, and not just say, okay, we just do hosting, and for everything else, you're on your own. We really want to help you get your arms around the whole problem. And we're okay, the economic ups and downs have certainly hit us. We had a lot of engineering firms. One of the founders worked at an engineering firm long ago, and so we had lots and lots of architects and surveyors and whatnot, and the downturn killed off so many of those customers, and so we got hit pretty hard by that. But say Portland works really great. We can say, we're local, we're here, you wanna come see us, you wanna talk to us, you know, yeah, if you wanna work with Amazon, we'll help you. But if you don't want to, we can do it for you as well.
That brings up a really good point. You know, one of the things that I always say is that, Amazon could come in and try and get the whole market, and they're not going to get it because there's never going to be, the market's never going to dry up of smart people solving hard problems. And so those of us who understand the needs of our clients, who can engage with them, we are going to continue to succeed even as infrastructure changes. The best way to do that is not to focus on a mass market, but really know your clientele. And that's exactly what it is you're doing. You're smart people solving hard problems who know your clientele in your local area, or, and it can be a local area, or it can be a genre or series, or just a personality, a type of person. But ultimately, embracing your identity, putting it into the DNA of your company, and being that type of person who goes out there and seeks like-minded people to help solve their problems, that's the way that I think you succeed. And so I'll switch from questions for you to questions for me. Anybody else want to hit me with anything? Or if anybody has their own questions or stories, they can still tell them. Which customers that we wanted to serve. Actually, this has been a particular challenge for ServInt, to be completely honest. We're trying to teach ourselves these lessons as we're trying to teach them to everybody else. Because the truth of the matter is that ServInt's a 17-year-old organization who's been working with small to medium businesses in the LampStack area and trying to manage their LampStack environment. We've been doing it for 17 years. And so we have in the past certainly tried to, especially in downturns in the economy and things like that, over 17 years, it's been quite a roller coaster. There have been times when we have absolutely succumbed to well, that's not really what we do, but sure, we'll go ahead and we'll figure out how to colo your NT4O box, And the fact of the matter is that it's taken a lot of inward looking as to what types of things we're really good at and how we want to focus our attention to figure out what people to go after from a marketing perspective. The truth is that for most of ServInt's identity, we haven't really gone after anyone. We haven't really done a tremendous amount of marketing until the past couple of years when we've tried to get out there with some ads focused on on the managed support that we offer to our LampStack clients. For the most part, we've tried to build our company off of the strength of customer referrals by offering really granular managed support to our customers, and that our webmasters themselves let them spread the word from person to person. But honestly, I can say for a fact that we're still learning this ourselves, and we're still trying to focus on exactly who our best niche markets are too. But it's the way to survive the next round, I think, and continue to grow. Yeah, absolutely.
So you mentioned over-commoditization, and you talked about going local, going identity focused, right?
Mm-hmm.
But is there
Sorry, I'm told I should use the mic because they're recording stuff.
So you've talked about with the growing over-commoditization of IaaS to go local, go identity, go geo, stand out, be interesting. So my thought about the future is that there's probably a coming price war kind of driven by the big guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wondering if you have an itemized list off the top of your head of value-added services that the smaller hosting providers can add. that are revenue generating.
That are revenue
Yeah,
generating?
we talked about some, but I mean just like straight off, like when they go to provision an OS in your infrastructure.
Well, the truth is
What
that
else can we click on besides load balance?
no, that's a very good question, and honestly, you walk the show floor here. I encourage you to go down to the show floor after after my talk and go, and there's vendors that are going to tell you that their thing is the thing that's going to make all the difference for you. And they're right. Every single one of them is right for somebody in this room, and none of them are right for everybody. And so a lot of it is just knowing your market and knowing what kind of things that your customers want to do. I can't answer that for you. I can't give a list for anybody. I actually have a difficult time giving a list for my own clients because they are fairly diverse, and we're working on a process of trying to get a more targeted list for our audience right now. But that's going to be different than you and you and you.
So, I'm a marketing person and a positioning person. And what I would answer that question with is, have you asked your customers?
Yeah.
Because it's about their need for solutions, not necessarily products that are downstairs on the floor. What I liked about this is that you're positioning and you found your way into niches, if you will. But what the most important piece is there's business with the people that you're doing business with if you'll only ask them the question. And then determine what your offering is going to be or what the next need is.
There are so many people that come up with a really cool idea without really checking it against anybody, and they launch it 6 months later and they say, how come nobody bought this? Nobody asked anybody if we wanted it.
Our quick summarization of what she was saying is, we always ask why, not what. Why do you want to do that? Not what do you want to buy? Because a lot of customers come and say, oh, we want this. Well, why? What are you doing? What's your goal? And
Yeah.
Usually half the time you find out they don't know what the hell they want to buy. They just saw it in a magazine on an airplane and, oh yeah, we want cloud. Well, why? Oh, it was in a magazine. Well, what are you really trying to solve? And you find out it's completely unrelated to cloud.
I'll say one thing that it probably it won't make me any friends with any of the vendors that are out here. We talk to our clients and we try to figure out what they need, and then we go and we find out who does those things best and we reach out to them. If a vendor who has an add-on reaches out to us, that's the first. It's a strike against them, because if I haven't heard of the solution that I'm looking for from my clients first, that doesn't mean that they don't have the greatest thing in the world. We need to have our eye on future technology. We have to have our eye on real cool things, and our clients may not know about it. But a lot of the things are client-driven, not vendor-driven.
If I was making a list, on the top would be knowledge, and that's why I come to these things as well too. As a trusted partner, they may come to you with a million things, or what's your value add, and honestly, my clients call about everything and anything, and whether it's security, whether it's this, and they don't have time to come walk the show floors and do these things. They stay and they shouldn't. Just like I don't if I'm getting on the hill, I'd rather be running my business than going to fight. Although it's been a great thing, and I'm glad. Come to the closing keynote. It's gonna be good. But on that note, knowledge is the best value add that we can go. Our clients call, they want to know about X, Y, or Z, and if you're a trusted partner to them, they will take your advice wholeheartedly if you've done your research. So coming here, there's a number of SSL providers, there's a number of hosts, there's a number of this, that, or the other thing. And if you can take that information, extrapolate it the best way that your clients know, and if you know your clients, your DNA is ingrained with their DNA, and you really know what they're focused on, if they're going mobile technology, you can say, hey, I've researched it, I know it, this is the mobile technology you want to move towards, it'll work for what you're doing, et cetera, et cetera. And then instantly, there's the value add for me. So, and when you take that knowledge out of mobile technology and go into SSL, or you take it from SSL and go into storage solutions, or whatever it is, I find that just having the knowledge of any of those pieces and having that trusted partnership makes it easy, because you don't have to evaluate a ton of value add. You just have to know about what's going on and make it work.
Just make sure that you look to add services, you're creating value adds for your customers and not value adds for the market. Because the more you focus on the market instead of your market, the more you're going to slip into non-identity and into just one of the 30,000 fish in the sea. Any other questions or comments? We've got about 4 minutes left. Great.
So I just wanted to offer a couple comments. I'm maybe a little bit of a different background. I've been in IT for 30 years on the other side of the desk. So I'm development director, CIO, large companies, small companies. And I'm here because my company hired me to help them build out an offering that was going to be attractive in the small and mid-sized space. And I don't want to give away the farm, so I'm going to tell you too much about what we're doing. But let me just mention this. First of all, wherever the name cloud came from, it's extremely confusing to okay? Drop it. So I mean, so what? And I want to offer this back. You guys have taught. Everybody's been teaching me a lot of great stuff over the last 3 days. So it's IT. Okay, it was IT there. Now it's IT over here. So what you're providing is really just an extension of what these CIOs and development directors were doing before. It's this. The requirements are the same, pretty much as what they had in-house before. You need to go to particularly to the customers and maybe the larger ones that have decent development shops, and find the ones that you have today where it's working. Find out what they're doing, and ask them how they can extend, how you can help them extend their processes, their internal processes, over into your environment. Because at some point, it is going to become just IT again. It's IT there, or it's IT over here, or it's IT over in this Star guy. So get in with them, figure out what they're doing, and try to leverage their internal processes and help them do things that they can't do today. And that's where you're going to find your answers.
I think you've got a very good point. There. You know, technology is changing a tremendous amount, and you know, we definitely all have a feeling that we need to stay on top of it. And it can be pretty stressful, and people use all these words. Like, I mean, the cloud is absolutely the most confusing. Cloud seems to mean whatever somebody wants to sell you attached to the name cloud. Everybody has their own definition. You know, and people keep on talking about there being a cloud industry. I don't think that there is a cloud industry. In the same way that when Henry Ford created the assembly line, which was a changing of the technology in which they were able to produce cars, made it easier to produce cars, made it so that they could shoot them off the line right away. It was a different means of production, but it was still the same product. So at the end of the day, it's still hosting. It's still computing. It's still storage. There's not a new industry. It's just a new means of production, aided by what's ultimately a souped-up on-tap version of virtualization, which has actually been around for a number of years. So cloud is absolutely confusing. But it's not a new industry. It's just a new marketing term. The thing is that technology is absolutely changing, and it can be a threat if you're not well positioned. Amazon is going to make things. They're one example of many companies that are going to make things easier for companies to get on-tap resources and get them cheaply. But that doesn't mean that we can't position ourselves and thrive through it. And I think I hope that some of the lessons here have shown you that as the market changes, you can continue to succeed through it.
Yeah, and as Amazon and Google do that, they're still never going to offer you a live body.
Right. They're not going to offer you a live body. And so a company that will, especially a company with a strong identity, they're going to continue to succeed. Smart people solving hard problems. It'll be a hard market to ever beat, and Amazon and Google, they can't touch it. Thanks.